The goal of the show is to help you break in and thrive in advertising, and we do that every single week by sharing the stories and advice of those rocking it on the other side. On our LinkedIn, we post advertising news you need to know in 60 seconds or less. You should follow us there. It's unlike any other ad news you've ever seen before, I guarantee it. Today's guest is Katharine Painter, media director at Apollo Partners. They're a modern media agency that's redefining how brands connect with consumers by putting strategy and transparency first. So she's going to walk us through her journey from UT Austin, where she went to school, to Digitas, and how she made the leap back to Austin to help build Apollo from the ground up. So we're going to cover everything from AI's impact on media to creative media relationships and what it takes to build breakthrough campaigns like her work with Purely Elizabeth and Goop Kitchen. Yes, Goop has a kitchen. If you want to hear how senior media professionals think, plan, and lead in today's landscape, this one's a must listen. Now on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. And as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. All right, Katharine Painter, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
So good. We're going to have a great conversation with you about your company, what you do, a little bit about media, Apollo Partners, all of that. How do you feel about that run of show?
Very excited to get started.
So give us a rundown before we get into advertising media stuff. What do you like to do outside of work?
I love cooking, trying new restaurants. My boyfriend and I are trying to do one new recipe a week. That's our New Year's resolution.
Where are you pulling in recipes from?
The Defined Dish, if y'all don't know her, love her. She's a great Instagram influencer, but also, the usual suspects, Pinterest, Instagram.
Are you making content around it, or is it just for fun? Do you have an internal rating system? Are you contributing to if this recipe is good or not? Because we need to know.
The only content I'm creating is on Snapchat for my family.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So not stories? You're not putting on your Snap story?
Not stories. It's unfiltered content.
Got it.
Not really rating or reviewing, but that, I could up it there.
Yeah, you definitely should share that to the world in some way, shape, or form. If you want to start a podcast, we can help you out. So, Katharine, I think we just had a conversation with Eric. By the time this records, it'll be right next to each other, most likely. So people have some fundamentals of Apollo Partners, but what's your take on the company? What do you all do?
Sure. So I think fundamentally we put forth unique media strategies and recommendations for a very diverse set of clients. With a diverse set of objectives as well. So, I'm sure we'll jump into it a little bit more, but really thinking about the consumer first and not necessarily having being tied to specific channels or tactics like at some other, larger agencies.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the media agency landscape as we're recording this in the start of the summer here. A lot of AI incorporation, a lot of consolidation as well. There were some public battles between the two large holding companies, WPP and Publicis, claims of not quality placements here. I guess, what's your take on all of that? How should I react in advertising? How are you all reacting to that craziness?
It's a lot of drama, I would say.
Yeah, it's fun, though.
It's fun to be on the sidelines watching and not necessarily directly involved. But, I think part of what we do at Apollo Partners is we're transparent in everything that we're doing and planning and activating against. And I think a lot of larger clients and brands are looking for that transparency. Mm-hmm. Every single person that works on your team, where every single media placement's being run. And if, there are mistakes, we're transparent and open about them and quick to find a solution.
Yeah, that sounds like a good partnership right there. Yeah. Transparency, you know what's going on. You can go check it out in the wild potentially, and that is great. So when did you start working there? Because I know you've helped grow Apollo from the early days, so we'll get into that, but when did you start?
Gosh, October of 2022.
Okay. And what brought you there? What was going on in your world? What attracted you to the company?
Yes. I was almost at an inflection point. I was living in New York at the time, and was looking to move back to Austin, and the company I was currently with was going back to the office at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for something new, and I started reaching out to my network of previous managers and coworkers, and got reconnected with Eric Perko, our founder, who was actually my very first boss.
He's the best.
I know he is. He is truly the best. Hence why I'm back here with him today and have been with the company since 2022. But he told me about Apollo Partners and what he was looking to start, and I was extremely intrigued. I mean, it was definitely a bit riskier than, some of the previous roles that I'd had, but I think that really, really excited me.
Mm-hmm.
And, being involved since not day one necessarily, but very early on.
Yeah.
Helped me grow immensely in my career.
Absolutely. And so the title today, is it media director? Is this correct?
It is, yes.
So what was your title when you first started?
Associate media director.
Gotcha.
And I started, there were probably 3 of us full time.
Okay.
Which was crazy. But I was so excited to get back to the work and building all of the deliverables, and getting more of that hands-on experience again. I felt like in my previous roles, it was a lot of managing, but really being the one that was actually creating all of the decks again and sharing that with our clients was really reinvigorating, and something that I still try to keep in my practice, even though our team has grown.
Gotcha. So if I'm understanding all this correctly, you're looking, you wanted to leave New York, get back to Austin. I'm assuming you grew up there. I know you went to UT, which is a great ad program. I'm not sure what you studied there, but you got back to Austin, and this opportunity also allowed you to do that. Working with Eric, growing Apollo Partners from the early days in the media side of things. Now you're the media director, but your role today, it straddles digital, traditional, performance, and brand. Like, how do you balance that all without compromising or missing one thing or the other? Because it's pretty important stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I think first and foremost, we take a consumer-centric approach. So we determine the channels, whether it's digital or more traditional, that we want to invest in based off of not only our brand's target audiences, but also, their objectives. And, is it changing brand perception? Is it driving sales? So I think at the root of it, that's been really exciting to get back to really, truly being able to determine where we want to show up as a brand.
That's right. That makes sense. I'm just curious, how do you keep track of all the freaking channels nowadays? Because there's like a new platform, new like system, I'm sure, like every other week, and especially with AI. Like, how do you stay knowledgeable where to place stuff?
Yeah. It's a lot of keeping up with the trades,
Mm-hmm.
The Ad Age, Ad Weeks, Media Post of the world. It's also continuing to meet with some of our vendor partners and learning about how they're continuing to evolve their offerings, whether it's adding new ad formats, leveraging AI in a new, unique way. It is changing. And I think that's what's the most exciting part about working in media is like no day is the same as the previous.
Totally. Like today, we just shared on our whiteboard video for our news, Amazon Prime Video is increasing the amount of ad time per hour from 3 minutes to 6 minutes. So that's probably something that you guys will be thinking about. Just constantly, like these streaming platforms are also like adding on new ad formats too.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. This is so fun. So you worked on brands like Intuit, Nature's Bakery. What's one campaign that comes to mind that really embodies your approach, the Apollo's approach to this all?
Yeah. I think we did an amazing campaign for Purely Elizabeth, which if you're not familiar, they're a premium granola brand. Really, really delicious.
Okay.
Love them. But what we did in 2024 last year, we put together a full year plan for them, which really balanced, a lot of that hardworking mass reach media as well as breakthrough opportunities. And I think that at the core is what we strive to do for each of our clients at Apollo Partners. The strategy consisted of a focused investment approach. We, focused on a variety of key markets for the brand versus going national and making sure that we had, a sufficient time in market to actually make an impact. Really leveraged highly visual channels because when you go to the cereal or granola aisle, there are so many options. And how can we make sure that consumers not only hear about Purely Elizabeth, but also see the brand so they know what to look for when they're going to that aisle? And I think one of the most exciting things that we did last year was a partnership with Goop, another similar wellness brand with a similar target audience, and really built out a robust 360 partnership with the Goop team, inclusive of, custom menu items within Goop Kitchen, which is available in LA.
Goop Kitchen.
Goop Kitchen, yes.
Would you eat there? I would try it.
I definitely would eat there.
Yeah.
Their menu really, I think, caters to my personal preferences, but
maybe you can submit some recipes.
Yeah, exactly.
That you've tried for Goop Kitchen, yeah.
And we built we developed a custom recipe with their team.
Nice.
To actually incorporate Purely Elizabeth granola into their menu.
So that would be an example of the breakthrough side of things.
Yes.
Something a little bit less traditional, where you have to, you can get some PR buzz around it as well. Is that how you kind of define breakthrough opportunities?
Exactly. It's finding the core consumer in a more unexpected place that natively gets in front of them and
So
into
fun.
Their consideration set.
And what role is what role does the creative agency have in this? Are you guys putting those recommendations as a very client by client? Is it in-house teams that come up with like breakthrough ideas as well? Like, how do you guys get to that?
Oh my gosh, creative and media are so important to work together.
Yeah.
It does differ by client. With Purely Elizabeth specifically, we do work with an external creative agency and really making sure that they understand our media strategy and recommendation and where these placements will be showing up truly helps inform the type of messaging that we want to put in front of consumers. So, if it's a takeover on a recipe page, making content specific to recipes and cooking. The Goop partnership in particular, I feel like was so strong because of our deep relationship and collaboration with the client themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's so important when thinking about some of these breakthrough opportunities to really make sure that, you're showing up in a way that is truly organic to the brand as well.
Yeah. What's something that you wish more creative agencies, more creative professionals knew like about media?
I think it would be awesome if, there was a little bit more collaboration sometimes and more upfront work and understanding the flexibility that we have as a media team to focus on specific placements or specific parts of, a city if we're thinking about like an out-of-home campaign, and really just collaborating together to make sure we're purchasing the placements that matter most, but also showing up in a thought-provoking and unique way.
Yeah. It's so fun. Like, I feel like this is, I usually talk to creative agency professionals. So hearing your side, that just a different form of creativity.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me, and like cool placements, like that's really, it matters so much because you can come up with a really interesting creative idea, the perfect deliverable for it. And if it gets in the wrong person, the wrong time, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes like the placement itself could be so creative that it actually gets its own attention. So 100%. I love it all. And you guys, like you said, like you stay close to the work. The senior talent stays close to the work. So what does your day-to-day look like and why does that matter?
Yeah, I think it's a really strong balance between, letting the team lead, but also being deeply rooted in a lot of the day-to-day. What I think is super unique about Apollo is that senior leadership is involved throughout the planning process all the way to, a wrap report deliverable. And I think it's about showcasing experience and providing guidance, but also letting every team member, come forth with ideas, because we all experience media differently. And I think it's so important for everyone to have a seat at the table when it comes to things like thinking about partners we want to work with or places we want to show up. And I think that's what's so great about the team that we've built is, we've selected folks that think differently and have different experience for a reason. So I think it's truly about senior leadership being there to support from an experience perspective, making sure that, all of our deliverables are not only up to Apollo standards, but follow our mission of breaking through and making sure, every plan we're putting together is helping clients punch above their weight.
Love it. Love it. And before we kick it back, I will tease towards the last question here will be about predictions. So we'll get to that, but I need to know how you broke into this business. So at what point did a young Katharine say to yourself, I want to be in media, I want to be in advertising, I want to be a part of the ad making and placing process for a living? Or did you never say that?
Oh, I did. And I did at UT. I was part of the Texas advertising program.
Oh, yeah. Did you have, don't tell me, John Murphy? Is that a guy?
He is.
Doctor?
Yes. I did more of the media track. So I spent a lot of time with Lisa Tobias, who
shout out,
who was an amazing mentor and honestly helped me get excited about media. I went into college, undeclared. I was thinking I wanted to be a business major. But I took my first intro to advertising class and loved the connection, not only between business, but also psychology and thinking about how people interact with not only brands, but with media. And it's become so embedded in our culture. It just was something that really, struck me. And then eventually took a Media 101 class and fell in love with that. I was like, I am not a creative. I'm not good at design, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But I love media and I love thinking strategically about unique ways to reach target audiences, but also I love the numbers part of it at the end of the day.
Yeah. So then you discovered that, you studied it. Did you get any internships? Like, was there a big pivotal moment where you made this decision and it helped you break in? How do we get to that break-in moment?
Yeah, I had some internships along the way, more marketing and PR focused, I would say. I was part of Texas Advertising Group, and they do networking trips a couple of times a year. And I always had this dream of going to California, and I signed up for the San Francisco networking trip where we visited a handful of agencies.
San Francisco, Goodby.
And what? Goodby, Silverstein Partners, Digitas.
Barrett Hoffer.
And Matejza Coffer.
Yeah.
And I loved Matejza Coffer when I visited. Definitely a creative-led agency, but I thought it was such a unique place to be, and I just had this, it sounds cliche to say, but like warm feeling when I went into that agency.
Yeah.
Ended up reaching out to the recruiter there and got a job. Took the leap, moved to San Francisco, and honestly have no regrets. I learned so much there.
What role was that?
That was an associate media planner.
Gotcha.
And then I stayed there for probably about 2.5 years and ultimately decided to move to New York.
What drew you?
I was ready for something new.
Better job offer? Just want to check something out.
Different job offer, for sure. Went from smaller, agency with heavy creative influence to Digitas, big media capabilities there, and loved every minute of working at Digitas as well. Very different.
Yeah, because like I can see like if you're in a creative role like art direction, copywriting, like it's more so about like the people and like who you're learning from, and like of course it's important in every job, but like whether it's a small agency of like 3 people, as long as like good creative work is being made, you can make the same argument. Good creative work can be made with a 1,000-person agency. It doesn't really matter the size, as long as like you have good clients, good creative work. Like when you went to Digitas, did you have like a better suite of tools and like more access to bigger clients with a larger media spend? Like, did that fundamentally help you get better at your job going to a larger shop, is my question.
Absolutely. I feel like every experience I've had has been hugely beneficial in advancing my career. And you're exactly right. There's different, levels of resources that you have going to a bigger agency, and you're working with bigger budgets and more established brands. Most of the time I worked on American Express when I was there, as well as Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. So it definitely made you think about media a little bit differently. There was, a full team dedicated to search and social and programmatic. So, definitely experts in those specific crafts, as well as just, overall like research resources, planning resources. But at the end of the day, what drew me back to Apollo is more of that holistic planning mindset and being able to learn and grow outside of one specific path. And thinking about when I was, at Digitas, I worked directly on digital direct partnerships, which was amazing. And I learned so much and became an expert in planning and executing those types of activations. But what I was craving was more of a holistic view of things, and being able to recommend things outside of one specific channel.
Yeah, what does digital direct partnerships mean?
That means working with like the Spotifys of the world, Hulu, if we were to purchase directly with them. We did a lot of work with business publications as well. So it's everything from standard banner placements, custom content, kind of range.
What would be excluded from a digital direct partnership? What would not be in the scope of that?
A social buy, with Facebook, with Meta rather, with TikTok, search campaigns. If we were to execute programmatically, that would typically go to a different team that had a separate budget. So it was really anything that needed to be executed through a direct IO that would be managed by a publisher.
Yeah. So you went independent, like I believe Matejza Koffer was independent creative agency where you're kind of small team. You got to view the creative idea, how it was made, and then placing it and like recommendations for that. You might have been working with media agencies as well there. Like, is that true?
There was a media department there.
Okay.
It was small.
Okay. Smaller. Making some like larger decisions, I'm assuming then.
Yes, exactly. And it was amazing to have the creative team in-house for so many reasons. We could brainstorm and spitball directly with them.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about previously, the connection between media and creative is so necessary. And, our work is so much more impactful when the two teams are talking directly to each other.
And then from there, you went to the machine. Like it's my words, like a big company here that specializes in media, different departments or different types of buy. You were part of that. You were part of that company, and then you went back to Apollo Partners, which how would we define now, looking at the scheme of your career here? Apollo Partners is what, compared from independent agencies to the machine? Where are we at now?
Definitely more on the independent agency side, I would say.
It's a spectrum, right?
Yeah, it is a spectrum. Yeah. But, it's been great to get back to, again, that holistic view of planning. And I think something else that I was really craving at some of the bigger agencies was truly seeing the value and impact of my work on the client and the overall business. And that's something that I strive to make sure that everyone on our team understands every day. Like, this, may feel like a slide that you've put together, but look at how it came together for a deck that we presented to the C-suite. And this ultimately resulted in XYZ plan. I think it's so beneficial, especially for junior talent, to be able to see that through line and understand what they're actually contributing to. And I think that fuels more passion in the space.
And it's up to, like, the message to our listeners here is ask. Like, it's great. Like, managers should, like, explain and say this deck goes into this presentation, which can sell this and place that out in the world and make more money for the business, whatever. But if it's not happening, because we're all busy, for the junior level employee, somebody that just started, it's on them to ask, like, hey, like, how is this going to work? Like, where is this going to go? Is the client going to see this eventually? Explain the process to me.
Yeah.
Like, that was like the best advice I got when I was getting a job. It was like, just double check what everything is happening and how it works. I was like, wait, that's smart. So I love that.
Right. And I mean, once you see that bigger picture, it's easier to create better work because you know what you're contributing to and how whatever you're developing can speak to the rest of the deliverable.
Totally. So from your lens, which is a media director, what is the most exciting innovation happening right now in media, and how is Apollo Partners leaning in?
AI and automation. I mean, it seems...
I saw something. I'm gonna tailor this conversation a little bit. I saw something that, like, on OpenAI's website, that you can put in, like, your business, like, in your product and services. So it shows up in the language learning model, like when people search stuff, because they're using it now as like a search engine, like, which product should I buy, or like best gyms in New York City. Like, they're going right into AI. Is that something that you guys are monitoring? Is that a thing? Or did I just see a fake TikTok?
No, that's a thing. Not a fake TikTok, not fake news. It's a really interesting question. And I think, a lot of that is about making sure that not only your SEO strategy is strong, but making sure that your brand is mentioned externally. I recently read an article about how AI specifically is going to impact PR and the need to really ensure that your PR strategy is really strong and that your brand is being mentioned across multiple different publications so that you have more of an opportunity to show up in AI searches.
Big time. That's why I'm such a strong advocate for those that are not investing in PR or they're not investing in paid media. Like, create your own content and create your own branding, put your own content plan out there, written articles, put like, or like your own like Instagram or blog, whatever it might be, get that out there. So when it scans and searches, you could show up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a media execution standpoint, that's what I'm really excited about. And I think, there has been a lot of chatter in the news about AI taking people's jobs and concerns around how quickly AI is developing. But for me, it's an opportunity to spend less time on some of the monotonous but extremely important things that we do on the media side, like trafficking and billing and campaign setup. So in my eyes, I'm looking at AI and automation as a whole as an opportunity to spend less time on that and more time on thinking strategically about our clients' recommendations or how to solve a problem or how to work hand in hand with a creative team to make a really breakthrough execution. So that's the most exciting thing that's happening right now in my eyes.
Wonderful. Well, Katharine, I have no further questions. You did an amazing job. I guess I'm curious then, how can people reach out to you, or if they want to work for Apollo or want to work with Apollo Partners, where can they go?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn. I spell my name a little bit funky. It's Katharine. But would love to connect with anyone looking to get involved in the space or, to work with Apollo. Yeah.
Nicely done. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Awesome. Thank you
Cool.
for having me. Woo!
Crushed it.